So I wanted to start with kind of the question I had after I finished watching it for the first time, which was essentially, you shot this over a couple of years. When did it kind of first start to gel for you or just like when did it start coming together for you that you were documenting the experience this period of your life?
I should just say that after we edited it, I saw a therapist, which I'd never done in my whole life. So this was not the film that I thought I was going to make at all. So the scene where I outed myself in front of the high school class, that was actually the first thing we shot. That was in March 2011. I came out in the New York Times June. So, and that was an interesting scene because I wasn't planning on coming out to them. I was supposed to talk to them about, we were going to shoot just B-roll on me in my old high school visiting it, right? And then while we were doing it, when I was telling the kids that, hey, I'm working on a film on immigration, and then one student said, well, why? And then that girl, when she says, when I think of immigration, I think of Mexicans, right? I don't know if you remember her. And I'm like, and I remember my DP looking at me because I think he knew that I was going to do something crazy. And then you didn't see this in the cut, but I was like, okay, I'm going to put my email address down. You cannot, there was like 60 kids in that room or something like that. I was like, I'm about to tell you something that's not public yet. And I'm about to come out and, in a big way. And to the great credit of those kids, can you imagine? They kept the embargo for like 2.5 months. So originally when I was going to do this film, what I was thinking was waiting for Superman meets the Dream Act. Like kind of your traditional issue doc where I am the narrator, so to speak, right? And then after I out myself, after the Stephen Colbert clip, for example, then the film goes to you meet 5 other undocumented young people. The Nigerian woman, the German man, a Mexican kid in Alabama. And then everything would have ended up with a Time magazine photo shoot. So that was the first cut of the film. That's how I envisioned the film going.
Right.
And then you watch the rough cut, and it was abundantly clear, and this is where verite is like, so you just don't really know it just didn't have the kind of emotional elevation that I thought we needed. After a while, you hear one story, they kind of start, even if it's an undocumented Nigerian, undocumented German, after a while, it just becomes the same, right? And then a friend of mine who's a filmmaker said, you really should put your mom in it. And I'm like, no. I barely, I was just, that's so personal. I feel like when I outed myself in the New York Times, that was enough. And I just wasn't sure how I would even do that. I wasn't sure if I wanted to see more of myself in this film, like my eyebrows, and it's really confusing. And, I'm not sure if I was a character who's like, quote unquote, sympathetic, whatever the hell that means. And clearly, can you imagine calling your mother, who you haven't seen for like 18 years at that point? I'm going to send a film crew. You're going to spill your guts. And we're going to see how this works. And I've been supporting you since I was 23. So you can't say no. Like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the context is already so weird. But when I did send a film crew, and this is where you're like at the mercy of your collaborators. When I sent the crew, they came back. And when I saw the footage of my mom, and mind you, like I'm seeing her for the first time, right? And by the way, we had filmed the Skype scene before I saw the footage. So it was really my first time seeing her. That's when it became clear that she was the movie. There's 10 hours of that footage of her just looking straight to the camera. That's when it became clear that she was the story and that the film needed to go personal. But once you go down that route, as I'm sure all the filmmakers here know, like you have to go all the way in or you don't go at all, right? Like it has to be really honest and really raw, or it just becomes self-aggrandizing, self-indulgent. I was really nervous about that.